guy who knows every song, artist, musical riff ever recorded, down to the most obscure band's B-side single on vinyl-only EP import. As a child, music helped Pinfield make sense of the world. Later, as a teenager, Pinfield would approach his music idols at concerts and explain why he loved their music. As an adult, rock music inspired his career, fueled relationships, and at times became a life raft. Rob Sheffield is a longtime columnist for Rolling Stone, where he's been writing about music, TV, and pop culture since 1997. He's the author of 4 books, the most recent On Bowie. Sheffield's forthcoming book, Dreaming the Beatles, is a celebratory look at the lasting significance of the band he lives in. So let's give a big round of applause.
I read his review of the second Meatloaf album. He hated it, and I thought it was the funniest thing I had read in my 15 years on this planet. So it was five years ago. And I can still recite entire paragraphs of it from memory, but I won't.
That's so cool.
But like absolute god among writers.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that this book that you did it the right way, and that it really captures a pretty amazing life and a pretty amazing story.
Yeah, I mean, I've been so blessed, you know. I mean, just like when you hear the beginning of it, when you look at the beginning of the book and you look at, I just my earliest memory of anything at 3 years old was like rocking back and forth in front of a used record player, because my family, my mom and dad, they didn't have much money, they bought one 45 player that would drop the record, and then a box of records there. We would go to the Five and Dime at the stores and buy used records, because we really didn't have the money, to do it otherwise. Although my brother and sister would buy like the latest Beatles or Motown single, and it was, it's just my earliest memories, and one of the funny parts of the book is throwing those kiddie records under the refrigerator. Like, I just didn't want anything to do with like Peter Pan records or Disneyland records. They would buy them, and until we moved from Denellen, New Jersey to East Brunswick, they were under the refrigerator. and my mom and dad found those records there, and they were like, "Oh, that's really lame." So but it was a great opportunity, and Rich Phoenix, who's right here, is a person I write about in the book, was so kind to me, as a kid. I mean, from the time I was young, I loved radio because I just loved the idea of the expression of being able to turn people on to music. And Rich was at a station in New Brunswick, New Jersey called WCTC, and he did nights. And he was so different than the other guys that were there, like during the day. It was kind of like easy listening. And Rich played like the coolest stuff, like everything from the Beatles to T-Rex. And I remember even the PDs, like they didn't get it sometimes. The one PD was a complete asshole. I was young, but I knew that at 10. But you were so cool to me, and I remember it was a very dangerous place to be at that time, right? Like in New Brunswick, I mean, it's like 1972 or 3. And I would go, my parents would drop me off and then Rich would let me come in at night and sit and watch him do his show. And I remember that there was always a throw-out pile of 45s too, which is where I found Big Star. Like I found that, Don't Lie to Me, Watch the Sunrise 45 that you get. You're like, Matt, whatever you want, you know what I mean? And it was just really cool, but you were just so, I would call you all the time as this, really naive but excited child, and you were just super kind to me, and that was really what started it out between you and my father and our bootleg radio station in the basement that I had that broadcast 1 block. We had like this radio station around there. It was funny. My dad, because my dad was a very smart guy, and you read about it in the book. He taught physics. He ran the audiovisual department, which is why me and all my friends that are here, we get to make really crazy ass movies. So, he'd bring them home on the holidays, and we'd use like big old, VCRs, and just give us stuff to do, just do crazy things. It was definitely right, right? You know, so, but it was all those things. People like Rich and you know, and my father that really it was important that they nurtured my love, you know, for the music. So, and you know, it was one of those things where I couldn't wait to be at a record store, like, you know, buying records, and I, you know, I couldn't afford everything I wanted like anybody else couldn't at that time.